Well, and the brave man, Milo Yiannopoulos, is here with us now. Are we expected to feel sorry for men? Is that what this is?
I think it would have been ridiculous until really very recently for any man to make arguments like this. It's certainly ridiculous for anybody of even my generation. But I think with some justification, young men, particularly of 20, do go through life and they don't recognise the world that, for example, feminist campaigners describe. They do experience discrimination in education. They do feel as though schools can be architected against them sometimes. They get whacked on Ritalin for being too boisterous. When they get into the workplace and go and apply for jobs and all the rest of it, you know, they don't have all the same sort of programmes and foundations and extra schemes and all the rest of it. Yes, it would be ridiculous to have made this argument even perhaps half a decade ago, but I don't think it is anymore.
Right, but your main claim is about the gender pay gap, that actually that is a myth. And it's not a myth, is it?
Yes,
even
it is
today,
a myth, yes.
Well, it's not a myth according to the figures from the ONS, the Office for National Statistics, because even in November last year, they showed that the gender pay gap for all employees, full-time and part-time, still benefits men by 19.1%. That's their figures.
Yes, well,
for full-time employment, just one moment, it was 9.4% less, and that's in April this year. Now, there is a narrow figure that they use too, which shows that hourly earnings in April 2014, with women working for more than 30 hours a week, were actually paid 1.1% more. But that's right. It's just that bracket. And actually, when you get men and women workers in their 40s, 50s or 60s, again, the gender pay gap is in favour of men. So it's a myth.
Well, you're right about all of that stuff, but you're wrong about why it's happening.
Well, hang on a second, though, because you made the claim in your piece, in your film, that women are not paid, or rather men are not paid more than women, and they are.
Well, you have to understand where the figures come from, right? These figures...
you must understand.
These figures are... You're going to accuse me of mansplaining, aren't you?
No,
these figures come from averages across society. They don't take into account the different life choices that women make. The reality is that women do prefer a more balanced life. When they go to work, even if they don't have babies, they take longer holidays. They tend to take more holidays. And the reason that you know, they are paid more, up to about 30, 35, 39, depending on whose figures you believe. The reason that flips
only
at the
between
end,
30 and 39.
No, that's actually not true. The reason that the figures flip after that age is because women make different life choices.
Right.
And if you take those life choices into account, no serious economist believes this stuff. It's repeated by politicians right up to President Obama, but no serious economist takes the wage gap seriously.
Caroline.
Well, I think some of those life choices aren't just a woman's life choice, it's a family life choice, and part of that is determined by who's the higher income earner. So when you get to the point, I mean, look, I had my kids in my 20s, but more people are having them in their 30s and later. You make a decision as a family about who's got the earning power. Now, in a lot of families, the male partner in those relationships, if it's a male-female relationship, is often earning more. So the life choice they're making is based on who's bringing more in. But this goes back to the fact that I believe that we still have a huge amount of job segregation when it comes to gender.
So
hang on.
You're making an assumption.
No, can I finish my point?
You're making an assumption this
is
based on some sort of...
No, I hadn't finished what I was going to say. I think a lot of jobs that are high-income jobs, engineers, for example, we have hardly any women and girls in that area, and we need to have that in there. Often in school, the choices that are put in front of girls are for the less-paid jobs and professions. If you look at the number of women... Hang on, if you look at the number of women who work in health and social care compared to men, it is much higher, and there's often a low value and a pay value.
Should we be advertising those to men?
So what I think is the way to address this,
some professions are over.
I think the way to address this is about tackling the way in which boys and girls are encouraged to go in certain jobs. I would actually say that actually one of our problems in our schools is what we're seeing is actually working class kids less likely to end up in the higher paying professions. That worries me an awful lot, and that's where I do think working class boys are often losing out. But there is also,
not really a class issue.
It's the pay over,
you're making an
it's part of the
assumption
class issue that you don't get into the jobs that pay the highest paid wages.
Well, let Milo come out. So, I mean, Milo, one of the things you do mention, which is talked about a lot, is that girls are outperforming boys at school.
Right.
More of them are going to university. Employers prefer them. This is anecdotal.
Yes.
I have to say. You know,
no, it's
more
not
driven.
anecdotal.
Well,
actually, there are studies
but
now.
Even if they
3 weeks ago, a study came out that showed that men and women going for the same job with the same qualification in STEM fields, the women are 3 to 1 more likely to get the job, because it's a generational thing. You know, it's happening very, very recently. In the last 5 years, a lot of stuff has happened very, very fast.
Right, George, what do you think? Do you think at the moment that there is beginning to be a turnaround, that actually, despite the pay issue, which we can agree to disagree on, that actually men are still paid more than women for the same or very similar jobs in a lot of cases?
It's just not true.
To the statistics.
Well, it's a feminist myth that will not die.
But are men now feeling the pressure of the success of women?
No, I think, though, where you make an interesting point is that there is an improvement, there's a convergence. I think if you look at younger people, you're probably right, that actually there's a difference between people in their 20s and 30s than those who are a bit older. But I think part of that's not to say there's not a problem. There's still a big problem. We've still only got around 20% of FTSE 100 companies that have got women.
Again, this is based on faulty assumptions. I'm sorry to
No.
Faulty,
Well, let me just finish.
Assumptions.
It's not a faulty, because actually I think what we need to do better at is enabling women to resume a career after they've had a family and continue to climb up. Yes, I know, but because one of the things I think, it's all very well to say, of course, they take a break out of their career to raise a family, but as a country we've got to get much better at enabling them to resume a career and carry on.
Whether women have a family or not.
I've got the editor screaming, we must end it now. Sorry, we've run out of time, thank you.
I'd come back on and talk about Greek debt next time. It's safer territory. And you've got the name for it as well.